Hello, good evening. This is Michael Feeley with part two of quite a long series of esoteric revelations, many thousands of years of revelations that I'm going to be revealing over a sim. I'm going to be dealing initially with the pentagram, which basically means 5 lines. That is the standard pentagram of sacred geometry. Now, the pentagram, obviously the number 5, is stepping out of the 4. It is stepping into the ether. It is conquering and mastering 4 elements of this physical realm. Now, the pentagram is actually an ancient symbol of many mysteries, of many mystery schools, such as Pythagoras, his mystery school as well. But the pentagram is actually the biblical Star of Bethlehem, because the Star of Bethlehem leads the wise men to their inner divine realization. It leads them to their own Christ. So the whole story of the Star of Bethlehem leaving the Magi, the wise men, to Christ is really an encrypted code about how it leads the wise men being the initiates, the Gnostics, the Hierophants, the Emetics, who actually understand the sacred mysteries and the initiation process. So that leads the wise men to their inner divine realization, their Christ. Now, the biblical story of King Herod, it really represents the masses, the general population, because King Herod in the Bible couldn't actually find or see the Star of Bethlehem. Now, that is really telling us that Herod, or the masses, actually lack the wisdom to see the mysteries or actually spot the esoteric encrypted codes that hide sacred knowledge. Now, that the Kabbalah tell you that when you actually decrypt the cryptogram, which is the Bible, when you actually reveal the code, strange things begin to happen. You begin to open up inside, and you have the spiritual forces that actually elevate you and enlighten you. And I can tell you from experience that that does actually happen. So that is really true. So the Star of Bethlehem, the pentagram, as I say, the normal pentagram is that. That is also the symbol of the Trinity, the Christ. It is really the upright pentagram. Now, when we look at the likes in history of Winston Churchill, when he does the V for Victory sign, that is really the upside down pentagram, which is the symbol of Satan. So anything with 3 at the top and 2 at the bottom is the upright pentagram, the ether, the knowledge of the wisdom. Anything with 3 at the bottom and 2 at the top is the inverted pentagram, which is the satanic triangle. So that is something obviously for historians to bear in mind when they look at, these hand gestures in public. Now, when you go back to priests and church, and I'll be talking a lot about churches and priests and all these biblical characters, even the ancient monuments all around the world, I'll be discussing during these interviews. But when you start looking at the word priest, it actually comes from Magush, which is the Magi, which is really of the magician. So the ancient priests were magicians. That then takes you into the world of alchemy. Now, again, I will be dealing a lot with alchemy over the coming months. But alchemy really comes from comes from Egypt, where the priesthoods were magicians. They were metalsmiths. They were able to transmute metal into their philosopher's stone, into the completion of magnum opus, the great work. So when you start looking at alchemy, you can then start looking at religion. You can start looking at all the alchemical encryptions within the monuments and the pyramids of the world, the Heads of Easter Island, all of these mythical stories, Atlantis and Lemuria, which I will be dealing with. You can then start going into the sexual priesthoods, and the sexual priesthood is really talking about sexual sublimation, which is the balancing of sacred energy of the 2 polarities, the masculine and feminine. That then takes you into the likes of Christ and the adversary Satan, which are not. Christ was never an individual person that walked Nazareth or walked the Middle East. Christ is a metaphor, as is Satan. But again, you're going into sacred energy. You're going into the sacred serpent of Kundalini, whether that rises through compassion, which is the Christ, or whether that descends through passion, sexual passion, which is the descending serpent, which is Satan falling from heaven, which is the upper chakras of a higher consciousness, and descending down to the lower chakras of earth, which are the lower chakras of lower desire. It is Satan is really the lower sexual desires, where Christ is the rising serpent. But again, I will go into that into more detail at another time. So this evening, then, really, I just wanted to introduce you to a little bit of mystery. The pentagram, the 5 lines, to go beyond the 4, which is the alchemical material realm. So when you actually see the pentagram now, you can actually see that this is an ancient symbol of the mystery schools. And I've just discussed that this is really the start of Bethlehem, because it leads wise men, the initiates, the priests, the pharaohs, the high-ranking masons, and all these people in the know. It leads them to their own inner divine Christ, their own inner divinity. And that is why it's a symbol of the pentagram, and that is why the pentagram is the star of Bethlehem. It's, of course, the American star as well, and, of course, the red star of Russia. Now, the white star of America and the red star of Russia, again, has alchemical implications, the white and red, but again, that is for another time. I'd just like to thank you for joining me this evening or this morning, wherever you are in the world. I will be doing many of these videos where I'm going to be revealing, the deepest, most esoteric secrets of the world, of these ancient mysteries, which will take you all around the world into the ancient world. It will solve the mysteries of the likes of the pyramids, the Sardinian city on Mars, the Heads of Easter Island, many myths and legends like King Arthur. It will reveal the real meaning, the real metaphors of biblical characters which never existed. They are truly metaphors. And I will be taking you all around the world over the next several months, where many thousands of years of ancient secrets will be revealed. So whatever you see on the History Channel, whatever you see on Ancient Aliens and all these kind of things, I'll either be taking you to the Anunnaki and the true interpretation of the Sumerian scrolls, which is different to the interpretation that Zechariah Sitchin became world famous for transcribing. So please subscribe to the channel. Please watch this space, because there's going to be lots and lots of information. If you keep watching this, you will truly have what the Bible calls the treasure of heaven. That the treasure of heaven is really code for an enlightened mind, the gold of the philosopher's stone, the treasure of heaven. So please continue to watch. Thank you for joining me this evening. I hope it's been of some use to you. And please subscribe, because you're going to be taken into a real deep esoteric journey over the next few months. My website, for anyone who wishes to subscribe to my free newsletters or free blogs, is www.michael-feeley.com, and Feeley is Feeley. So once again, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you again very soon.